This show is part of the RetroZap.com podcast network.
This is what you can look forward to on episode 214 of Skywalking Through Neverland. Here we might mention that this episode will be full of spoilers.
Spoilers ahead!
This has been the hardest Star Wars movie I've worked on.
Are you Therm Scissor Punch?
And we just learned last week that Black Spire Outpost is the actual name of the outpost on Batuu.
Yes, 5 days of Star Wars fun.
This is something I have to add to my CV, that I've had my ass handed to me by the Mother Dragons.
Wow, David Prowse hates you right now.
Are you ready?
Off to Neverland!
Here we go!
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome. Disneyland is your land.
When I first made Star Wars, everybody in Hollywood said, well, this is a movie Disney should have made.
You're more than just fans. You're family.
Best day ever!
Secrets lab.
It's about family, and that's what's so powerful about it.
Hey.
When you use a bird to write with, it's called tweeting.
When we visit the world of Disney, we never grow old. It's a Peter Pan, Never Land that keeps us young in heart.
This is Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi, and you are skywalking through Neverland. I have a good feeling about this.
Hey, Skywalkers! Hey, you want to hear stories straight from the spice mines of Kessel? Then we want to welcome you to Skywalking Through Neverland. We are your enthusiastic podcast destination for the many decades of your Star Wars and Disney and Marvel fandom. I am Richard Wolosky, and now everyone please say hello to my sweetie wife, Sarah.
Hello, Skywalkers. Thank you for watching right now, and thank you for listening wherever you may be. It's time to give a big Wookiee hug to our family of Skywalkers. As Tati says, hey fam! That's right, we're a big family, and you are now a Skywalker if you're listening. So thank you.
My question is, what Wookiee is giving you a big hug? Is it Chewbacca? Is it Segwa from Solo: A Star Wars Story? Is it Mala, Itchy, or Lumpy?
I hadn't thought about this. I'm gonna say Chewie. Who's gonna give you a big hug?
Itchy.
What's
wrong with that?
If you know the Star Wars Holiday Special, I don't think you want Itchy to give you a big hug.
Maybe he wants to share a holo video.
Oh, we are excited, aren't we?
All right, moving on. We are at Skywalking Pod on Twitter and Instagram if you'd like to comment on that. And we love it when you share our joy and our adventure through fandom. Thank you for watching right now. Lori Lazat, Jason Gibner just joined us, Christopher Marino, everyone is joining us. And also, we are on YouTube. You can go head over there to subscribe, youtube.com/Skywalking Through Neverland. And this is new, you guys. If you play Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, we have started a guild. If you play it, you know that you can join guilds, which just people or it's like a guild that you join and then you can talk to the people on there. Well, we have started a Skywalking Through Neverland guild, which Richard, you won't see him on there because he doesn't play the game, but I do.
I had to go cold turkey on video games in 1982.
It's true. So I want to thank Drew Kaplan for starting that out. He kind of had the idea, was like, hey, let's start this guild. So I said, okay. So I think we have like 4 people in there right now because we just started it. But yeah, join us.
Is there someone on that guild who can tell us the time?
No. But Ahsoka
Hold on. Appreciate the segue. Or lack thereof.
And then the horrible timing because I'm not
You would think she would know this by now.
Yeah, I'm not.
It's 12:45. Good afternoon.
Oh.
Afternoon.
Boy, our timing is going to be way off. And just to let you Skywalkers know, for these next couple of weeks, our timing might be off on some of our episodes just because this is our busy time of our business. Mm-hmm. Plus, our home is being demolished.
Yes, so there's not really good times to record in a house that has noise going on, too.
We may see a show in 6 days, or 8 days, or maybe 9 days, or maybe even 7 days.
Yeah, so bear with us.
Yeah, this is
We're sorry, but
a very hard 2 months.
Yeah.
All right, now we are recording this from Long Beach, California on May the 31st, 2018.
Now, what else happened on this date in Star Wars history?
Well, on May the 31st, 1999, Darth Maul appears on the cover of Time magazine, the Asia edition.
Oh,
they were way ahead of their time. They weren't advertising Phantom Menace. They were talking about Solo. Way ahead of their time. And, well, then again, the headline does read, Star Wars, your complete guide to the Phantom Menace.
Okay.
So I thought they were being ahead of their time, but you know what? My bad.
All right. Also on May 31st, this time in 2003,
the MTV Awards gave their Best Fight award to Yoda versus Count Dooku.
Yeah, that was so awesome in the theater.
Yeah, and Yoda, voiced by Frank Oz, came down to accept his award on his little hovering pad, and he gave this rousing speech.
This is Yoda's first nomination and first MTV Movie Award.
Grateful am I to this award received. To win, I did not expect. The following people thank I must. Christopher Lee, regret not training you. Always will you be a Padawan to me. George Lucas, GL, eye to eye we did not always see, but immense you are, and love you still I do. Samuel Jackson, Sammy, gifted are you. Natalie Portman, wise beyond your years, you seem. Premise myself, cry I would not. Others to thank. Watto, Chewie, Tanwi, Vin Diesel, R2-D2, C-3PO, Bjork, Greedo, Steve Guttenberg, Ki-Adi-Mundi, Yado, Lamassu. Playoff Yoda, no one does. To all the younglings at MTV, thank I do. 900 years old Yoda may be, but that does not mean down he is not. Many languages I speak, and one of them is yours. Representing for you and all my peeps on Dagobah will always Yoda be. Last, least not, to the one who rules this earth, respect I pay. Long live your queen, Latifah.
On today's episode, we welcome back Star Wars veteran creature performer Dee Tails in part 1 of our in-depth Solo discussion with him. In Solo, he plays the Pyke, who is director of operations in the spice mines of Kessel. You may best remember him as the guy who is oozing mucus out of his mask.
Ew.
We also have shout-outs and things we want to share.
Things we want to share. Things we want to share. Things we want to share.
So we just saw Solo for our 3rd time, and I gotta say, it gets better and better and better.
It does.
However, we saw it in 3D, and I gotta say, 3D does not add a whole lot.
No, I thought it would, and it totally doesn't.
But we gotta do a Skywalker meetup for Solo in 4D. We saw Rogue One in 4D. It was a whole different experience. It was like watching a Star Wars movie while on a Disney ride. Awesome.
And yeah, and already Solo feels like a Disney ride, so I think that would be amazing.
So seeing it for the 3rd time, we're not only watching the story, but we're also listening and watching for Easter eggs. That's one of my favorite parts of watching a Star Wars film or a Marvel film, looking for the Easter eggs. And so many things popped out, and things that maybe aren't Easter eggs, but a reference to something else that maybe could be an Easter egg. I don't know. And what I'm getting to here is that when Han and Chewie and Beckett are in Voss's office, Dryden Voss's office with Qi'ra. Qi'ra is saying, you know what, if you want to pay Dryden back for the shipment you just lost of coaxium, then you've got to go to places like Scarif or somewhere called Mercy Island. Mercy Island?
Never heard of this before.
And we couldn't let this pass by without knowing more about this mysterious island. So we reached out to co-writer John Kasdan on Twitter and asked him about it, and he replied back.
Yes, he said that Mercy Island was, quote, presumably a high-security Imperial munitions and supply depot. Suffice it to say, Mercy Island is an inhospitable place on an extremely desolate planet. Makes Scarif look like... the Maldives. Which is where they filmed, I believe.
They filmed
for Scarif.
Rogue One.
Yes,
Right.
Yes.
And I didn't know what Maldives was, so I looked it up, and apparently it's a little tiny island, which is east of Africa and south of India.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
Little tiny island about this big.
Wow, I thought it was like in the South Pacific, but if you're saying, yeah, it's not really.
Right. So, this Mercy Island... Wow, this is something new.
Well, I bet it's going to pop up somewhere.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Moving forward.
Something like Mercy Island, I'm guessing, is like a step below Spice Mines of Kessel.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to call it Mercy Island, nothing good can ever be held on somewhere called Mercy Island.
Yeah.
So everyone, hashtag, we need Mercy Island in the next film.
Mm-hmm.
Got to know more about this place. Or if there is some kind of a connection we just didn't see, or maybe John Kasdan didn't mention, maybe to a video game or a comic book, please let us know. I did look it up and I couldn't find anything.
Yeah.
But our Skywalkers are right on it. So, like I was saying, Easter eggs, one of my favorite things to look for in any Star Wars film, because as a diehard deep dive fan, there's always something you can pick out in the very, very back.
Oh yeah, especially if you've been watching the TV shows or reading the books or the comics, there's even more for you there.
Whenever there's a number that's shouted out, it's like, okay, that's got to be something.
Yeah, exactly.
And it would have been very rude at our last screening to pull out my iPhone, even though everyone else does it, and start writing things down.
That would be bad.
So did anything stick out to you during our last viewing, Sarah?
Yes. In fact, so I want to mention spoilers.
Spoilers ahead.
Warning.
When we see Darth Maul at the end, there is actually the first two viewings, the theater was so loud, or we were all just like, whoa, what's happening, that I didn't notice it. But upon third viewing, Duel of the Fates is playing when we see Darth Maul. There's like a fun, subtle version of it. It's not like the dun 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 dun. You know, it's the horns playing his actual melody and stuff. So I thought that was amazing.
Yeah. Still, I haven't heard it.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
you have.
Well,
okay.
those two, for like you were saying, the first two viewings, the audience was going ballistic at seeing Darth Maul.
Yes.
But at our last viewing, it was a quieter audience.
It was,
and
less people in the theater too.
Yeah,
it was a Tuesday, I think.
I still didn't hear. I didn't hear it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
okay.
Gotta see it again.
Gotta see it again.
Oh my goodness! It's the film that keeps on giving.
Yes. Also, something that I heard upon third viewing, because people were quieter, was that when Lando says, "I hate you" to Han right after he, busts up the Millennium Falcon in the Kessel Run, Han says, "I know." Like the subtle version of "I know," and everyone's so much laughing at the way Lando delivers his "I hate you" that you don't hear Han say "I know." And so I heard it this time and I was like, oh my gosh, that's like my favorite line in the film. And I didn't hear it till viewing 3.
So this is on Savareen, the beach planet.
Yes.
Right, when the Falcon just lands and Lando's looking at his ship like, I just put that little escape pod in the front of the ship, had those alluvial dampers put in, and had it just cleaned. There was a cleaning crew in there.
Yep.
It smelled like bleach. It was perfect.
Had my cape room.
Maybe smelling bleach isn't perfect, but yeah,
no.
I got my capes all organized in my cape room, and now look at it.
Mm-hmm. All right, Richard, did you have any? Or should I say my last thing?
Say your last one, because this is the big one.
Okay. Now I don't remember where this is, but I want to thank people on Twitter for bringing this up. L3 says Black Spire when referencing a location, like she's listing out some locations because she's the navigation.
This is when they've left the lodge,
Okay.
The gambling place.
Okay.
It's called the Lodge. They're leaving there, and L3 is just going off about this and that and this and that and this and that.
Okay.
So just before they get to the Falcon, she mentions Black Spire.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so yeah, she's mentioning that as a location. And we just learned last week that Black Spire Outpost is the actual name of the outpost on Batuu in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. So, yay, it's starting to be referenced in movies. Everything's connecting. It's amazing.
Yeah, and you know that wasn't an accident.
Yes, yes.
Now, this is something that I didn't really think about until Anthony Daniels had tweeted it out. And then when he saw the film, it's like, oh yeah, the circle is now complete. Because what's one of the first things 3PO says in Star Wars?
We'll be sent to the spice mines of Kessel, smashed into who knows what.
Wow.
Now, cut to Solo. We don't see C-3PO at the spice mines of Kessel, but we do see Anthony Daniels as the character Tack. He's the one yelling, come on, this way, this way.
Wow.
As they're all trying to escape. You know what I just thought of? Maybe C-3PO is really a human and not a droid. What's that character in Harry Potter that first starts off as a rat and then turns out to be an actual character?
Oh, yeah.
Scabbers?
Yeah, Scabbers.
Yeah, it turns out to be an actual character. Maybe all along, C-3PO wasn't really a droid. Maybe there's like 2 3POs, and then when we saw it being blasted in Empire, luckily, that's when the droid took its place, but whenever maybe a spy went through all these adventures just to hopefully end up at Luke's moisture farm and go from there.
You're silly, sweetie.
I know, I'm just saying that. You know what? I'm trying to figure out a way that Tack, played by Anthony Daniels,
right,
was
like Peter Pettigrew.
Peter Pettigrew, yes.
Thank you, Christopher.
Yes, so maybe Tack was inside the 3PO suit all along.
Uh-huh.
Doesn't make any sense,
No,
but
it doesn't.
I'm just saying.
So what else did you notice? What else?
All right. Now, all you Clint Howard enthusiasts, and I know you're out there.
Clint Howard is Ron Howard's brother.
Yes.
And he turns up in every film that Ron Howard's directed. So thank you, Jake Slaughter. You had mentioned he's Ron Howard's brother. And I just wanted, if we hadn't said that already,
okay, yes.
That's who he is.
Yeah. He plays Reliculi.
Okay.
And he's the underground BattleBot fight coordinator.
Yes.
And you remember the scene where the 2 droids are beating the heck out of each other, and that's when L3
steps in
and goes through all her equal right for droids bit. Well, if you have the visual dictionary, you'll see a picture of Clint Howard there, and it says in that visual dictionary, he is a loathsome rascal who runs the droid fighting pits in the Lodge. Reliculi has hated droids since his planet was ravaged by General Grievous during the Clone Wars.
Whoa!
And you know what? I gotta shout out to Brian Sims, who sent me a screenshot of that page in the visual dictionary.
Nice.
But now, coming back to Clint Howard, now that we all know who Clint Howard is, he says to L3, you have no business being here. And that's exactly what he says in the movie, the Ron Howard directed movie, Parenthood. And he's yelling to Steve Martin about Steve Martin's son who just dropped the baseball during the last inning of the game.
Okay.
And he's yelling at Steve Martin.
He had no business being out there! No business! No! He had no business being out there!
Nice.
So, and I know that wasn't an accident. And I think I picked that up because my sister Lisa would quote that line ad nauseum.
Oh, perfect.
So whenever she saw someone that just wasn't supposed to be where they were,
he had no business being out there!
And Clint Howard shows up in other movies, like one of my favorite films, That Thing You Do. He plays the jazz station DJ.
Nice.
All right.
Right, Richard, what else did you notice in the film?
We can't talk more about Clint Howard?
No, let's go.
That's pretty much it about Clint Howard.
It's 101.
Oh, okay. When Val mentions to Beckett about Han and Chewie, we don't need these guys. We could go to anybody. We could go to the Zan sisters or Bosk. Well, we all went crazy over Bosk because we know who Bosk is. Mm-hmm. But the Zan sisters, like, I don't know who they are. And I'm sure somewhere out there this has already been listed, but I haven't seen anything. They are Zu and Zan Pyke, twin criminals from the Shadows of the Empire novel. And this is actually the second reference from the Shadows of the Empire novel. Can anyone name the other Shadows of the Empire reference in a Star Wars film? Should we do a contest right now?
What?
If someone can name another Shadows of the Empire reference?
Yes.
All right. We'll send them a
pop?
Funko Pop.
A solo Funko Pop.
All right. People on, what is this, Facebook? They
Yes,
get a leg
Facebook
up.
Live.
This is what happens when you tune into Facebook Live. You have a chance to win some Funko Pops.
That's right. So what's the question now?
The question is, what is another reference from the Shadows of the Empire that we see in a Star Wars theatrical film?
Okay.
So, people on Facebook Live, if you can tell us, then please do. If no one here answers the question and the show goes out and someone tweets at us at Skywalking Pod, then they win.
Right. So Christopher Marino.
Oh, Christopher Marino!
Did he get it?
He got it.
Oh.
Sarah, what's the answer? What is the
Wow.
other Shadows of the Empire reference we get in a Star Wars film?
It is Dash Rendar's ship in A New Hope Special Edition.
That's right. When the land speeder is coming into Mos Eisley, we see the Outrider taking off.
All right. Well, you know what? We'll take some pictures of our Funko Pops and you get to choose one, Christopher.
All right, Christopher Marino. Look at that.
Yeah.
Sarah, what are we taking away from this lesson right now?
You must be watching Facebook Live if you want to win stuff. Because we might do this now.
Yes, we
It's kind
are.
of fun. We got some stuff to give away.
We have a lot of stuff to give away.
We do. So I like this.
Now, Skywalkers, the best way to listen to this next conversation is to get hyped up on Red Bull. Go. All right, Skywalkers, sit tight because our good friend and creature performer, the highly energized Dee Tails, is back. You've seen him as the ever-so-happy Kratnus in Maz's castle in The Force Awakens, droid plaything L1 on the streets of Jeddah in Rogue One, and the southern drawl Canto Bite beachcomber Slow and Low in The Last Jedi.
When we had Dee on the show back in February to talk about the Solo trailer, he was very elusive about exactly who he played. And now we know why. So let's bring him on so he can tell us all about Quay Tolsite.
Hey, Dee!
Hey! Oh no, I got lost in that list you were just saying, because to be in one Star Wars movie is a big deal, and then I'm like, oh yeah, and there's that one. Oh yeah, and it's wow, yeah.
So you like Warwick Davis? You're like the Star Wars creature veteran now.
Oh, bless you for saying that. But Warwick is like my hero. He's a legend. Like Warwick Davis and Kieran Shah, I love those guys dearly. Just the body of work, and the work is so cool. So I'm just like, yeah. Yeah, to be on and to have screen time with those guys and be in the same movie as those guys. Oh, that's just amazing.
Oh, it is. And for those who don't know who Quay Tolsite is just from the name, can you tell us about this character and then where we saw him in the film?
Wow. Okay. Right. Now, officially, I'm not sure if he's Quay. It might be Key.
Oh, really?
Oh.
It may be Quay Tolsite. I mean, that was the name I was given originally, and it wasn't until I was being called on set the description or the pronunciation of that name turned to Quay, and I didn't question it just in case. And then I waited to see the movie, and L337 refers to him as Mr. Tolsite, so they avoid saying his name. Now, the reason why I think it's Key, not just because it's written that way, but it's all he does is hold keys. Yeah, and Pablo doesn't miss a trick. So I'm until Pablo can confirm to me whether he's Quay or Key. Please forgive me if I slip into Quay or Key in terms of what I call him or how I name him.
It's like Twi'lek.
Yeah. Or maybe we could just call you Mr. Tolsite.
Hey, Mr. Tolsite. I like that.
Yes.
Yeah, he appears in the fifth act scene of the movie when Solo, Beckett, and Qi'ra and Lando and L337 realize that they've got to go to a specific planet. I'm trying to remember the name of the planet.
Kessel.
That's it.
They went to the spice mines of Kessel.
Yeah, my home. What am I talking about? So yeah, they have to go to Kessel to kind of convert the coaxium and convert the raw coaxium to save their behinds with dealing with Dryden Voss. It's with them navigating their way through that space cloud to arrive at the slave mining colony that I run.
Yeah, you're the director of operations over there, so this is not just a minor character. In fact, you're listed in the cast credits right underneath Clint Howard. That's big time stuff. You know you've made it now.
Yeah. Oh, well, I thought I made it when I was named right underneath, I think it was Warwick Davis. It's just beautiful company, but also getting to play such an important part of the Kessel Run. I think when we were filming it last year, halfway through that year, I was watching Empire Strikes Back, as you do, and I was watching the trilogy, and at the beginning of Star Wars, A New Hope, 3PO says they may be sent to the spice mines of Kessel, and my ears pricked up, and I'm like, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. I run that joint. Well, I run it right now. You know, so yeah, things like that were kind of hanging in the air while I was filming this thing, and it's kind of slowly sinking in. And I knew early on that he was a Pyke. I knew of the Pykes
from the Clone Wars.
Yeah, I knew of them, and I think that's when the penny dropped, because I think it was Justin who did the sculpting of the head and said it was quite unusual because he didn't really know how it fit in. And it was Jake Lunt Davis who was the one who kind of designed his way around what a Pyke looks like to how a Pyke could be slightly mutated by the environment or struggling to exist within the environment. The same way you would have what was Forrest Whitaker's character in Rogue One?
Forrest Whitaker?
Saw Gerrera.
Saw Gerrera. So he had problems breathing. We're not quite sure how that happened. And yes, we come across the Pykes, and it's self-inflicted because we run those mines for the spice, and some portion Mo has to be there to run it, you know. And it's not going to be one of the big high echelon kind of mob bosses of Pykes. It's going to be someone a little lower down who can just do what he needs to do to make sure that spice keeps flowing through the galaxy. You know, the head began to make sense. It was built to actually function so that there could be smoke or steam coming out of it, but it was best to leave that out. So when you see it in the movie, that's just pure ILM, you know. And it's just
the steam,
beautiful.
You mean?
The steam and the drips
and the mucus coming out of the mask. Oh,
yeah,
that was gross. That was gross.
I appreciated that in a very gross way, but it was just brilliant that they added to that, because on set, the pipe also could fit into one of those nozzles so that you could get that steam or that smoke coming out. And I wasn't really sure if it was due to, because it's Disney, we're not sure whether you can give that kind of vibe on screen. Whereas in the cartoons, they were smoking this purple stuff, and I was just like, but hang on, they do it in the cartoons. Why can't we do it here? You know, and lo and behold, it was just so that they can control the visual. If you can add it later, then it's not going to get in the way of anything or mess anything up. But yeah, so things like that, I started to understand more about why he looked the way he did, and also why his guards look the way that they do, because they are also Pykes, you know, who have those big square blocks on their heads and those big things hanging from their chins. The costume was heavy, man. It was heavy.
Yeah, it almost harkened back to what movie am I thinking about in the 1950s where you had that gorilla with a TV set for a head? So Quay, let's just call him Quay for right now.
Okay.
Quay looked like he had a TV head. So when I'm watching the film, it's like, oh, what is that movie with the gorilla TV head guy? That's what I thought when I saw your character. Now, how big of a deal was this on set, knowing that you are shooting on the spice mines of Kessel? Like you said earlier, we've been hearing about this since the original trilogy, and now here you are on this set. How incredible was that? And did everyone understand the importance of the scene?
From a certain point of view, everybody kind of did, but we were filming like the control room, and we know it's kind of connected to the mines or whatever, but all everyone is focused on was what was going on in that control room. I knew later on that I might have to do some walking out of the mines or greeting them off the Falcon at some point. But everybody in that room was just focused on having it function. This has been the hardest Star Wars movie I've worked on. Just simply because I kept geeking out every 5 minutes. Everywhere I looked, there was something to geek out about. The control room, just walking around the room while they're setting up, you can see the little docking point where R2 would put in his little control thing and find out what's going on in the systems. There were shapes in the wall where gonk droids would be walking out of. We had mouse droids in there. We had R2 droids in there. We had Warwick in there. Oh my goodness! And then you had these droids that were operating panels on the side walls, but they were puppets, right? So you've got puppets mixed in with live action droids, people in droid suits walking around. It was absolutely insane. And then on top of that, obviously, everybody recognized, well, I speak for myself, but I recognized Woody's costume, And I'm like, oh man, I know where that goes in the story. I know Lando gets it in Jedi.
What did you think when you saw Woody Harrelson in Lando's skiff guard outfit from Return of the Jedi? I mean, did that just start your wheels turning? Like, how does this come into play?
No, I knew how it come into play. There's certain things you just know. You just know, and you read it really, really well. And you're like, okay, so it's Beckett's. So that's how it stays on the Falcon. That's how Lando gets it. I don't need a movie to tell me that. I don't need a separate movie or whatever. But I did try it on. I did try that head.
Did you really? Was that the original helmet used in Return of the Jedi?
I have no idea. It could be the original sculpt. They could have sculpted it from the original, but I had to. I don't know how many people know that I did that, but I had to. I had to try that on. But seeing him in it and getting to meet Woody was absolutely phenomenal. He's just he's kind of very relaxed on set, and he knows what he needs to do. He won't overplay it until he's ready to perform. But then, he'll speak to people just around set, and just kind of break that tension in the room, but keep it all relaxed. Just very, very lovely. And then those, when we're introduced to him in the movie and we see him in silhouette and he's blasting away.
Right. On Mimban.
Yeah, he can actually do that with the guns. He twirls them all over the place. And to see, and I'm on the other side of the door watching this rehearsal take place, and he throws the staff at the guys, and then he pulls the guns out, and then it goes crazy. And like now, I'm covered in goosebumps. I don't think you can see it. I'm covered in goosebumps. But he goes crazy blasting them, and you're like, that's Woody. That's so cool. That's Woody.
Yeah. I had met Woody Harrelson back in like 1991 because they were filming Cheers in Boston, and here's Woody Harrelson. I got a chance to talk to him, and he's such a down-to-earth guy that he was talking to all the film students around and becoming one of them. And whereas the other members of the Cheers cast were all holed up in their trailers, but Woody was right out there, and he was just having so much fun.
Yeah, I think it's one
man.
thing to see this on screen, like where you expect people to be awesome and stuff on screen, but to see it in real life like you did, that's like something totally different.
Yeah. You're just, it validates your knowledge of their career or you following their career to any degree. But I was so proud of the fact that I watched Cheers when I was a kid, you know, and I remember the whole dynamics of that show changing when Woody came on, you know, just the comedic aura he brought with him. But then he also connected with anybody of any younger age watching it because he was so ridiculously funny, you know, in such an innocent way. And for me to say that I've watched his career from then to now, and how amazed I am by the transformation from TV to film. He was absolutely so giving back and just commenting on what I was doing, and just lovely guy, absolutely lovely.
Wow.
Yeah, you know what? To step back here, I looked this up on I googled it. That robot monster I was talking about, the gorilla with the TV head. Can you see him right over here? Yeah. The movie's called Robot Monster, and it's not a TV on the gorilla's head. It's more like a space helmet.
Space helmet with antenna.
Yeah, a very 1950s space helmet with the two antennas. And so when I saw your character, I immediately thought of this guy right over here that I'm showing you on Skype.
Wow.
Now, tell us about the audition process for your character. Once again, we'll call him Quay until we hear otherwise. Now, did they just know you from the past Star Wars films and go, yeah, he's the guy? Or did you have to actually audition?
Listen, no, this is all run by Neil Scanlon. No matter what production comes on regarding telling a Star Wars story, it's all going through Neil Scanlon and the CFX department. So the CFX department know exactly which performer, which puppeteer, which remote controller. I'm not sure what the animatronics guys.
And CFX is Creature Effects Department?
Yes, yeah. They cover such a wide and diverse array of talent that they know exactly how they want to piece this together for your movie. So it's like this solo production will come to Neil Scanlon. The Last Jedi production, they come to Neil Scanlon. It's all produced by Neil. So I had already done, on and off 2 other characters for solo. And then this one just popped up, you know, and it says, oh, Dee, we've got someone else for you to do. I was like, okay. So I went in to try on the head and wasn't quite sure what it was for, because you're only told, you're told very little information about the specific scenes that you're doing. If you know anything about the script or anything like that, it's a bonus. But you generally have no idea other than what they're telling you to do in that scene. After a few fittings and things like that, I was then coming in to rehearse and be on set and stuff. But I arrived at Lucasfilm and they said, oh, right, we want you to meet up with Andrew Jack. You know, he's based at the base unit just to discuss your language or whatever. I was like, oh, awesome, because I love Andrew. And so I went looking for Andrew, went into his trailer, and we sat there, and he says, right, have you been told anything about the language? And I said, only something vague, like they said it just has to be really ugly or something. And he says, yes. He says, it has to be disgustingly ugly. And then he started saying, well, you know, you could do things like, and he started retching. I won't do that on air. I started playing around with that and sliding in some deep kind of like burps into that language, as well as changing the pitch a little bit. We got it as disgusting as we could. And he said, that's perfect. Right. And so that was set. And then I was dressed by Chiqui Serrano. She's a tiny little Spanish girl, and this costume is so big and so heavy, you know, and she just handled it so well.
Before we go on to your costume, it's awesome that you were able to do your own character's voice, which is something very scarce in Star Wars.
Yeah, but you never know if it's just for the live sound on set for the actors. Like even like with Slow and Low, you know, I had no idea that I knew it was a great possibility that someone else was going to do the voice, but you still have to know that dialogue to give. And that dialogue may change, but it's just the gestures that they want. So when they put it on mute, he could be saying anything. Yeah, which helps doing the ADR.
Did you actually do the ADR?
Well, let's get there. So I'm on set. I'm then introduced to Emilia and Phoebe and Woody, as you do, you know. So we were doing the walkthrough just to get the pace and how we're going to come out of that archway and the doorway. This is not even in costume, so I'm walking around and they say action, and I do the dialogue as I'm describing or whatever, and we did it all like that, and then everything was golden, and then it was time to get into the suit, and so I did it a few times in the suit with the actors, and then at some point, I think Orin Beaton, who does the sound and does the boom, was saying to change the pitch slightly, because if I'm in a deep voice or whatever, and I pitch up, it's going to spike on the sound. We tweaked the sound, and then by the end of coming up to lunchtime, Orin came up to me with Andrew Jack, and they said, "We've just had a really good idea, and what we're thinking is going into one of the other sound stages and recording the audio, just so that they have it." And I was just like, awesome. So at least if they've got it, you know, that at least they've got a choice as to what to do with it, or whether to bring some name in to do it or whatever, you know. So, but I was just so appreciative of them understanding how much it means to a performer to have their organic sound be attached to that performance.
Wow, David Prowse hates you right now.
Don't tell him, yo. Don't tell him.
Wait a minute, I can't be Darth Vader, but Dee can be Quay Tolsite? That's not fair.
Yeah, but I paid my dues too, you know. But
oh, you sure have.
Say that, can I? I've got Joseph Gordon-Levitt doing my voice. I'd rather have him do my voice daily.
Can you give us a little bit of a sample of Quay's voice?
Oh, yeah, but you can't look at me.
Okay.
I feel like it was more. It was kind of right. So with that sound, that's what I heard one of those sounds when they were doing it, and I'm like, oh, fingers crossed, they've just augmented the sound and they've kept it. And there isn't anybody listed as doing my voice, so my fingers are really crossed that it's that, because we worked hard on creating that. And Woody loved it. Woody loved that.
Oh man, you are living the dream.
I know, and you're in the credits too. It's so amazing.
All right, so now here's the big question.
Yeah, we want to know, so who was directing you during your various scenes?
Was it Ron Howard or Lord Miller?
Or both?
Or all three?
It was a little bit of both, but all three, yes. Right at the start with the rehearsals or whatever, it was Phil and Chris, and for guys that I don't really know, because I know of Ron Howard, you know, his reputation, his history precedes him and whatever. I didn't really know that much about these guys other than the Lego Movie. Phil and Chris, I've got to say this, I love them to bits, and especially Phil, just the energy that boy has, you know, I got a lot of love for Phil. So yeah, everything changed as soon as Ron came onto the set, and he was just such. There's how do I describe it? It's like I wish he could be my granddad. He's just so sweet and lovely, and he's switched on. The dude is alive, man. He just and even in a relaxed state, he's kind of like. This was like my first scene with him was greeting them off the Falcon. You know, he's talking to everybody, talking to us and saying to us what he was going to shoot and everything like this and what it all leads to. And then he opens up into this big action sequence, which is going to happen when upon their exit of this place. And so he's describing what's going to happen, and he's saying that you're going to have to shoot this there and you're going to shoot that there and this is going to happen, whatever, you know. And our jaws are dropping because, you know, what he's describing sounds epic. You know, and he says, yeah. So we should have that done within, what time is it now? We should have that done by about 5 or something, you know, which was ridiculous because we know that's going to take a couple of weeks to shoot. But it was lovely. that he had all this pre-thought and preloaded into his head. And when he was talking to us about how I personally greet Qi'ra, telling them to take Chewie and Han down for tagging and clipping and so on and so forth, he wanted to play around with some of the staging and the framing of that. And he turned and just looked at John Kasdan and said, what do you think? What's best to do this or whatever? And within 2 seconds, their minds just kind of met with this idea of a frame. And I'm just like, whoa, he's got the writers on right beside him just to chip in. And I met John and I met Lawrence Kasdan, just, try not to geek out, try not to be a fanboy about it. But how can you not geek out, when you're meeting them on a Star Wars set?
Yeah.
Any other, you're meeting them on their home turf, and it was just amazing. But Ron was absolutely incredible. He didn't miss a beat. He knew how, when it came to that control room sequence, he knew exactly where he was putting the cameras, how many cameras were going to be in the room, and what sequences he wanted to see in that frame. And I remember being in that room when Phoebe, L337, turns around and says, I love this place. And you have that silhouette of this glow behind her, like things are just burning and starting to go to pot in that control room. And everybody just went, oh, because the frame was so awesome, And then you look at who did it and you're just like, yeah, well, it's Ron, isn't it?
One of the biggest critiques of the film has been how well it's shot, and it's one of the most beautifully looking Star Wars film, and it really is.
Yeah, I mean, Ron really did his homework on that, and it's just amazing to see.
Let's forget it was done hand in hand with Bradford Young,
the director of photography.
Yeah, my first day on set was in Corellia, and when I saw how he was framing it and the tone and how it was all lit, I basically stood behind that screen for most of the day. I made it look like I was busy here and there, but I just basically stood with Bradford watching the two monitors, because it was absolutely beautiful and naturally dated, and you want that, and you wanted that, and you're looking for that feel to it, but it was just beautiful.
How was the style of Lord and Miller during the rehearsal and principal photography? Because we'd heard later on that these two were improvising this and that, and things were just getting way out of hand. Did you witness any of that?
No, that's slightly above my pay grade to know, because I think that's between him and the principals, and we don't, and we're only told what we kind of need to do to facilitate that scene. Like I said, information is guarded. If they're working through dialogue, if they're working through scripts, that's in their rehearsal time. As far as I remember, I don't think that was actually brought to set for the multitudes or nobodies to see. So all of that kind of politics, it was a huge shock. It was a huge shock because we're outside of that loop. To thinking, oh, what happened? There was a falling out. What happened? Oh my goodness, never heard of something like that happening before. Oh my God, what's happening in production? When am I back in work? Am I back in work? What the hell's happening? Who's stepping in? We're at that stage, no one's really saying anything about what that is, because we're not part of that conversation.
Can you pick out the scenes that you're in that were directed by Ron Howard and those that were directed by Lord and Miller?
No. No, I've sat and I've tried to watch it and I'm like, oh, maybe. No. It was a full-on year, and it was almost like a year of two halves. So we're rehearsing and shooting. You're not quite sure what's being kept and what's not, because I kind of just assume that with something like this, when you've got a great location, or you've got a great set built, you want to overshoot as much as you can within your time frame, so that you're covered in terms of what options you have in the editing room. So we just get on and do what we do. We have no idea what's going to stay. and what's not, especially from our performances, because we're cut around what's happening. You know, occasionally you'll have a scene with Lando at the sabacc table, and he's talking to those the two twins, which is really one entity but with two heads. Hang on, let me see if I've got the name for that. That's Lark and Junk, the two-headed.
You said that you had played some more characters in Solo. Were you in that sabacc, the first sabacc match?
I'm in the room.
Are you Therm Scissor Punch? Or was that really Johnny Depp? You figure scissor hands, scissor punch, not a big stretch.
That was Andy Heath, and I know Yestin jumped in on that. There were so many guys, and no, that's the immediate table. I'm on the periphery with my partner, co-acting partner from Force Awakens, Tom Bell. And we're playing two more laughing creatures. Yes, and in the book, let me see if I can find it.
All right, pull out the visual dictionary.
Yep.
You gotta know this.
Pull it up.
Right. So, yes. So in the book on page 87.
Do the Kratnus brothers make a return?
I wish, but it's these ugly rat-faced dudes. Fuggus Bandita.
And this is the visual guide.
Pablo has done it again. Fuggus, F-U-G-A-S, surname F-A-N-D-I-T-A. Fuggus Bandita.
All right, so the next time we see Solo again, where can we find you so we'll know where to look? Are you next to Chewbacca? Are you next to Qi'ra?
You get a couple of quick shots. When they first enter into the table. We're on the right-hand side, so you see the back of us, really. And it's during that gameplay, and I think it's either after Han wins or Lando wins, you get a quick snapshot of us two with drinks in our hands, laughing our heads off. It's a mini kind of Easter egg, because it's the two same funny laughing guys, but they're in two more funny laughing suits, you know, from Force Awakens to this one.
Ah.
But it was just good to be working with my laughing buddy once again and understanding why we were paired back up to do that. So yeah, so there's maybe a faint glimpse of us watching the fight as L3 is trying to stand up for the droids in arena, and then back of us, and then a quick glimpse of us during the card game.
Nice. Were you also in the final sabacc scene?
No.
Orlando had that sporty shirt.
Oh, that outfit, that was sharp. I like that.
It was.
Yeah, if they don't start merchandising that white cape in that Hawaiian shirt, which I couldn't really make out the detail. Hey, do you have the visual dictionary right there handy where you can pull up Lando's shirt? What were those little patterns? They look like little catamarans or hang gliders or something.
Yeah, and I did look at it. I did notice what they were. Hang on, let's see if I can find a really cool picture. They are, it's hard to describe what that pattern is.
All right, you're pulling it up. What page of the visual dictionary do we find this picture of Lando?
Page 89.
I want that shirt. And that scarf. I can't rock a hat and I can't rock a scarf, but I want that scarf.
You want it.
It looks like it's some kind of flying ship or glider with the sun in the background on the shirt.
Okay, so I wasn't too far off when I said a hang glider.
Yeah, and Hawaiian theme sort of.
Yeah. I was getting a very, very Scarif feel from that shirt. Like Lando had made a pit stop on Scarif, visited a gift shop, picked up a couple of things, including that shirt.
Yeah.
Maybe a churro, a turkey leg. Hold on, I'm thinking about Disneyland.
Well, then, now from Scarif, let's head back to Kessel, where you have your scenes, of course, as Quay. Now, in one of those scenes, we have little 5'2" Emilia Clarke kicking your butt. So, how much fun was that?
That was awesome. That was absolutely awesome. I knew at the time that this is something I have to add to my CV, that I've had my ass handed to me by the Mother of Dragons, because it's absolutely incredible. Now, on set, I absolutely found her adorable on set. You know, it was like she would switch on into the character when action was called, but in between that she'd be laughing, she'd be joking with you or whatever, and she was singing some song and I jumped in on the song. 2 minutes later she remembers the band that I was in, and so I'm having this really weird moment where she's known of me and my band, and I'm just meeting her and I'm trying to get my head around Game of Thrones. So it was really, really surreal.
Oh, so she knew of your boy band. What was it called again?
Emanate. And then when she mentions Emanate, then Phoebe's like, "Oh, I know Emanate," and I'm just like, okay, phew. You know, but luckily we had this conversation when I had the head on. Yeah.
So they didn't see you freaking out.
No. And so we're having this conversation, and then when it came to that sequence, obviously we brought in the stuntmen and the stuntwomen, the Knopp brothers. There's a guy called Darren Knopp and David Knopp, and I think Darren was my principal stunt double, and little Fizz was Emily Clarke's double. And when I just saw it, because it didn't really, when they rehearsed it, it didn't change too much from that initial that rehearsal. But when I saw him getting slammed up the front into the window like that, and then being rocked back, and then disappearing under this cape, I was like, this is just pure class. Because I understood the scene. I understood, based upon how much I was doing in the scene, I knew it was part and parcel of, you know, when they're talking about how in Ocean's 11 or anything like that, they're talking about how they're going to do the heist. And then you see the sequences play out. So you're not spending too much time on them, but you're seeing them play out. So I knew it was something similar to that. So it wasn't going to be an elaborate beatdown or anything like that. The beatdown he got was perfect. I remember laughing and smiling at the time because it was so cool. And Darren and Fizz are coming out saying, "Oh, we could make it more. We could do more with it if you like." Because stuntmen, they all turn something very simple into something really epic, and have your jaw drop in a heartbeat. But, it was hard. I was watching one kind of contain them. So, no, this is cool. Right here. So they're like, oh, wow. Because that isn't even a warm-up for them. Yes.
Right. How did it feel like seeing someone else wear your creature?
I'd be very possessive.
Yeah.
I don't know. I got freaked out when... Well, okay, so there are two yellow droids, two yellow L1 droids in the movie. One of those is my original suit.
And this is the suit you wore in Rogue One.
Yeah, and it was predominantly worn by Stephanie. So seeing Stephanie in that suit, but it's painted a different color, there was something really, really surreal about it, in a sense that, is that what I looked like in that suit? Or... It was just really weird because I know what it's like to be in the suit, but then to watch how limited the movement is and how she made that droid come alive or whatever. It's a beautiful moment, but it's almost like you're out. It's like I'm in the suit, but I've stepped outside my body just to take a look. It's weird like that. But for Key or for Quay, it was kind of, I could see it coming. I could see it coming. I'm just like, well, you know what? Yeah, that's me in there, and that's what's happening. And the way that I looked at it, it's almost like that's what I'm going to see of myself on the screen, and yeah, that's about as coherent as I can make that description of seeing it, because it was so good. Because we had Emilia in that room, so I think it's when I hear what's going on outside, you see a glimpse of me turning and heading towards the door. And that's the last you see of me. When Darren is then at the window, walking towards him, that is Emilia. When she ducks down and he gets taken out, Fizz rises and takes over the rest. It's
wow.
Yes, it's wow, because it's so beautifully choreographed and seamless, and that's what they do for a living, and it's insane.
Yeah, it's the classic stunt double switcheroo.
Yeah.
Which they parody in some movie where it's not, in some movies where it's not exactly timed out, so you see both actors at the same time.
I think that's the technical term for it too, the switcheroo.
The switcheroo, right.
It fit in with the style. you couldn't get away from the style of this production. And also, I have to say this, is that during the production, it felt like we were making a cross between a live action movie and a Rebels movie.
Oh, wow.
That balance. And then even when I saw it in the cinema, it was like, oh, wow, this is, I could watch this as if this was an animated movie, you know, as well as you're getting the gravitas with having the principles and things like that. But the content of this movie, from, you know, the things that I'm geeking out about or things that I'm noticing and, you know, only a few other people are noticing or whatever, it was just mounting, you know, and like, you know, you see the streets of Corellia and stuff like that. It reminds me of the first episode of Rebels, and, you know, you're looking over the rooftops and you're seeing all of these things and you're seeing speeders and things. And I'm just like, I'm looking at a live action, the next stage in that live action format. So if all of their standalone stories look like that, that's the closest balance between live action and their animation for me.
It's interesting you say that, because a lot of people are saying that Solo feels a little like there's different vignettes, almost like it could be a serialized story, like a TV show.
Now, funny you say that, because this is my theory. What it was that inspired George Lucas to do these movies in the first place was the serials, yes, and was Flash Gordon. By the time our children's children grow up, yes, they will have a complete linear story of this whole soap opera. You know, right now we're getting it in dribs and drabs, yeah, and we're saying, oh, are they going to answer that question? Oh, where are they going to answer that? And so on and so forth. But by the time our children's children grow up and they watch this thing, you can imagine these movies being in half-an-hour slots, just constantly on maybe a Star Wars channel, you know?
Right now, there's an executive over at the Disney streaming service going, wait a minute, we can do this in half-hour chunks? We'll have programming until 2059.
Oh, I know. It'll be like syndicated up the wazoo.
And we'll have you to thank for it, Dee.
Well, but you see, you can see this journey, can't you? And I'm looking at it, and I'm doing this without having the expectations of some of the fans that they want certain things answered. But I'm like, well, that's being answered here, and that's being answered there, and the cartoons and the books, that is still canon. These film companies and this franchise don't believe in reboots. So what you're getting is what is staple, you know? And if there's something missing in it, they're going to put it somewhere else. It also seems like they're time dropping these things. So we get Han Solo's dice signified in The Last Jedi. Why? Because it's a big damn deal in Solo. You know? Just how they're loading things up. They're not telling anybody how they're loading it up. And the storytellers, I don't want them to, you know? But you're seeing it play out. So with these standalone movies coming, and we know Favreau's got TV, we know Ryan's got another trilogy. The Game of Thrones guys, they got a trilogy or something?
Yeah.
Something.
They got a film series. A film
series.
series.
Oh, film series, that's right.
And well, if these movies start straddling that balance between animation and live action, you know, we can keep our fingers crossed that maybe Dave Filoni might direct one. That would just be awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Agreed.
If Dave Filoni could do anything, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
If he could direct a Star Wars commercial, I'd be happy. But I want him to. Everyone thought that when Lord and Miller were booted from Solo, that Dave Filoni would be the natural choice to fill in.
Yeah, a lot of people were predicting that.
That's the end?
That will conclude part one of our intriguing conversation with Dee Tails. There was so much information in there that we wanted to give you Skywalkers enough time to absorb it all. But if you just can't wait and need an extra dose of adrenaline to your day, go back to episode 171 or 201 or 207 for more Dee Tails discussion.
So we will conclude this discussion, as well as part 2 of our Solo breakdown with highlights of the press conference in the next couple episodes. But now it's time for...
Shoutouts, Skywalker shoutouts. Which Skywalkers get props from here in Neverland? Who was tweeted out? Shout out. Who was photobombed? Shout out. Who was shared a post? Shout out.
Thank you, everyone, for your hashtag Skywalker selfies. Drew Kaplan, who is at Star Wars Maven on Twitter, he listens in the car every week, as he's always posting his selfie car pic, his Skywalker selfie. So he tweeted, listening to this discussion while driving in SoCal, picking up my kids from school. Has got me excited for Star Wars Celebration Chicago. Hashtag Skywalker selfie. So
does that mean, Drew, you're going?
Oh, I think so.
So many Skywalkers are saying they're not going, but...
Oh, no.
Does that mean that you're going?
Actually, there's a poll on, I think that Jeremy Hunt put in our Skywalker Facebook group as who's going, not going, or undecided. And you can click, what you're doing so that Skywalkers, we have an idea of who's all going to be there.
Need you front and center at our podcast stage show.
I know, right? It's going to be fun. And just for the record, I think on that Star Wars Celebration podcast that we talked about, we never actually said whether we were going or not. Because someone tweeted us, we're like, are you guys going? So, yes, we are going to Star Wars Celebration Chicago.
Yep, and in a few days, we'll be getting our tickets.
Yes. Yeah, ooh, June 6th?
June 5th.
June 5th, okay.
Yeah, gotta be on that.
Oh my gosh. All right, so we are going. We'll see you there, and hopefully we'll see you at our podcast stage show.
Yes, 5 days of Star Wars fun.
Woohoo! All right, so if you want to post your hashtag Skywalker selfie, just head to your favorite social media and tag us at SkywalkingPod and also put hashtag Skywalker selfie in there. And what we'd love for you to do, because people do so many different things when they're listening to podcasts, we want you to stop, take out your phone, take a selfie of whatever you're doing, whether you're walking with your puppy around a lake, whether you're driving, but only do that at stoplights, or whatever you happen to be doing. We'd love to see it. Or gardening. I don't know.
I've seen people in Los Angeles driving, texting, and taking selfies and reading the paper.
Wow. Yeah,
all
you know what?
at the same time.
I know a woman who had a long commute, and this was before the cell phones got really big, you could watch stuff. She actually had I think a TV that was hooked up to a radio, and she had it bungee corded to her dash.
Well, you would think it was a law that you couldn't do all that in Los Angeles, but you know what? This is Los Angeles.
Yeah.
That's more of a guideline than a rule.
Exactly. More like guidelines anyway. All right, well, we have another shout out, and that is in our Facebook group. Now, this is a closed group on Facebook, which you can join if you search Facebook for Skywalking Through Neverland, and then you request to join, and then you have to answer the questions that pop up. And what's great about this group is that there are so many like-minded people in there, and we all just get to know each other. So, here we go. Brian Sims, he wrote, "Guys, if you loved how Beth Revis' Rebel Rising made Rogue One a better movie for you, I think you will also enjoy Most Wanted by Ray Carson and how it does the same for Solo." Now, Most Wanted is a book that kind of goes into the backstory between Han Solo, or I guess Han, and Qi'ra. Han is not Han Solo at that point.
Is there a way to make this awesome film even better?
There is, according to several Skywalkers. And a lot of Skywalkers chimed in, which makes me want to read this book more. Scott Hume said, "I finished it last night. Excellent book. There has been so much good buzz for Last Shot that I think this book is a bit under the radar. Hopefully lots of people will be picking it up." And Kyle Fisher chimed in, "We read this book in between the first and second viewing of the movie, and it made a big difference.
Wow.
I really wasn't too hyped about the movie after the first viewing, but this filled in some of the gaps for issues I had. Highly recommend it even more than Last Shot."
Do we have this book?
I need to look around because our house is kind of in shambles, so I think we got it, but I don't. Well, but what I'll do, because it's June, we have another audio credit, so I'll get it there.
Do it today.
I will.
Do it today. We've gotten so many books
yes.
lately. Just throw it in the pile. We'll get to it sooner or later. What was that book we just got? Where is that? Right over there.
Yes.
Reach back. What is this book?
This book is by Tom Engelberger, and it is Star Wars: The Mighty Chewbacca in the Forest of Fear. Dun 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 dun. So, and it features on the cover Chewbacca. He's running toward the camera with a little Loth cat on his shoulder, and to his right is K2SO, and to his left, I'm not sure, it's a woman character What's it say about it? Read the description.
It says, when Chewbacca finds out that a job he thought was simply ferrying a ship full of Tuca cats is actually much more dangerous. At first, he's excited to have something to do, but when he, a young bounty hunter librarian, and a... is that a young Jocasta Drew?
I doubt it. No, because it wouldn't be the right time frame.
When you hear librarian, you think Jocasta Drew.
I know. That's awesome.
And a droll cargo droid whose real name, unbeknownst to the others, is K2SO. They land in the middle of a blue forest that seems to emit a fear-causing mist. Chewie realizes this job might be a bit too dangerous for his liking. For Chewie? Really? He and his new friends will find snarlers. Who wrote this? Snarlers and sniffers and their own fears as they try to recover a sacred book and save Han Solo in the process.
Whoa. Okay, so this is the first time we've read this description, and this visual of a forest with some kind of mist around it reminds me of the Salamari from Heir to the Timothy Zahn trilogy.
All right. I'm thinking Splinter of the Mind's Eye.
Okay.
But he and his new friends will fight snarlers and sniffers.
I bet they're these guys. Oh,
those are Corellian hound dogs.
Yeah.
Oh, looking at the back cover.
The back cover has... So I bet those are what he calls snarlers
and sniffers.
Okay. Wow. So we need to read this book, and we need to read, obviously, Most Wanted. And I think Most Wanted, that's the novel with Solo and Qi'ra.
Mm-hmm.
Or, I'm sorry, Han and Qi'ra.
Mm-hmm.
Most Wanted is labeled as one of those, young adult novels, which is why it may be a little under the radar. But as we're finding out in the new canon, the young adult novels are awesome.
Yeah, some of the best ones out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, hence Lost Stars.
Exactly. All right, so, homework. If you've read it, or if you want to enhance your Solo experience, please go read Most Wanted.
Which we'll be listening to today, apparently.
Yay! All right, Skywalkers, well, that wraps up episode 214 of
Skywalking Through Neverland. We would like to thank Dee Tails for coming back on and sharing his great stories of his time on the Solo set.
Now, remember, we will have part 2 of Dee Tails coming out, as well as part 2 of our Solo coverage, covering the press conference highlights and soundtrack breakdowns. So stay tuned. The next couple of episodes of Skywalking Through Neverland are going to be so much fun.
And we have some other things up our sleeves having to do with Solo. This is the film that just keeps on giving.
It does. So we'd like to thank all of you Skywalkers for listening every single week. Please stay tuned to our Twitter and Instagram accounts as we will be giving away Solo Funko Pops, and maybe even on our live streams we'll be giving away some Solo Pops and perhaps some other fun items we've acquired at press events. All right, Skywalkers, this is new. If you play the Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes mobile game, Drew Kaplan and I have started a Skywalking Through Neverland guild. So just go to your guilds tab and search for that name, Skywalking Through Neverland, and you can just join it. Also, if you are wondering about the lack of Enfys Nest merchandise, right now in the Galaxy of Heroes mobile game, you can unlock her and play with her. And she is a very powerful attacker, and I only have her at gear level 6 right now. If you play the game, you know what I'm talking about.
I want an Enfys Nest breakfast cereal.
I want an Enfys Nest, I don't know, something having to do with trees.
A tree pruner?
No.
In the shape of Enfys Nest?
You know what I was thinking? I was thinking of a tree house.
And an Enfys Nest toaster? And an Enfys Nest kitchen utensils? I'm trying to appeal to your kitchen needs.
You know what? Her helmet, it kind of looks like knives. Like a
knife holder?
Swiss Army knife thing. Yeah.
See, now you're thinking.
Exactly.
Now you're thinking.
A Swiss Army kitchen knife. How awesome would that be?
And once again, I want to reach out to the Disney manufacturers. You've got to make that Lando Calrissian shirt he wore at the very end of Solo.
Oh, that would be fun.
The next celebration, everyone will be wearing that. Everybody.
So you can also join us on YouTube. You can go to youtube.com/Skywalking Through Neverland and hit subscribe so you can get videos of some unboxings, some of our live streams, and also some events around here, like at Knott's Berry Farm or at Disneyland. Exactly.
We're there quite a bit and taking some behind-the-scenes photos of the construction of Galaxy's Edge. But at this point, it's just become a big wall of trees.
It's true, but if you ride the Mark Twain, you can see a lot more.
But if you go to our first couple of videos in that series, you'll see a great progression.
It's really cool. All right, Skywalkers, you can also help support us under the Support Us tab at skywalkingthrough.neverland.com. We have links to Pozu Shoes, which just released a new Kylo Ren high top. We have our TeePublic shop, and now Oppo suits. So clicking through these links to buy really helps us out.
Do you know what else would help us out?
What?
If you went over there to retrozap.com and listened to some other great shows like Bruisin' Blasters,
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Case Files,
The Deucecast Movie Show,
our Cast a Retro Gaming Podcast,
Techno Retro Dads,
and Talking Apes.
And you can also find Skywalking Through Neverland over there at jedinews.co.uk as well as fanthatracks.com.
We are at Skywalking Pod for Twitter and Instagram, so please post your hashtag Skywalker selfies on those media. And you can also join our Facebook group, as well as email us, share@skywalkingthrough.neverland.com.
And we always appreciate your reviews over there at Apple Podcasts and Stitcher. And like always, not going to tell you what to write, not going to tell you to write a positive review or give us 5 stars. We want you to be honest. We just love to hear what you Skywalkers have to say.
Now, stay tuned for bloopers and other fun conversation after the credits. And always remember...
Neverland on Alderaan.
Some imagination, huh?
To our Skywalkers and Tweetwalkers, thanks for listening. Skywalking Through Neverland is created and produced by Richard and Sarah Woloski. Original music by Rob Dellinger. Creative consultant Mark Augushowitz. Technical advisor Peter Heitman. Facebook administrators Donald Wicks, Joey Pittman, and Norma Heitman.
Skywalking Through Neverland is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Any sounds, music, and clips played during this podcast are the property of their copyright holders. All original content is property of Skywalking Through Neverland, all rights reserved. Sorry, had to be said. It's a good thing you didn't see 21 Jump Street then.
No. It's on my list.
No. Get it off your list. Get it right off your list. Oh. Do something else with that 90 minutes. Watch paint dry. Watch traffic. Just do not watch 21 Jump Street. You're welcome.
Oh, what about... What about 21? What about the second one? To avoid that one too?
At all costs, whatever you can do. And you know what? Just put your head in a blender or on the garbage disposal. It'll be much more pleasurable.
Wow.
You can quote me on that.
I see. I notice how Sarah's stepping way out of this one.
I don't think I saw the second one.
Yeah, we'll keep it that way.
Okay.
All right. So now you were saying about the audition process.
We'll hit record and see who pops up to join us.
All right.
Here we go. This is what you can look forward to on episode 214 of Skywalker. Bleh. We're going to try that again, and I'm going to move back in the picture here. Hey. Look, everyone joined us for a minute. Excellent.
Do you want to throw in a solo breakdown part 2?
It's not solo breakdown part 2.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
Okay.
Hi.
Hey.
Okay.
Hey. Things we want to share.
You have to like shake your head for that. We want to share and move around your ponytail like this.